Hey guys, welcome back to another Helix video. So today I wanted to take a more in-depth look at the new cab block in Helix firmware version 3.5. Line 6 has completely overhauled the way they do cabs, and we're going to take a look, dive into how they've changed it, what they've done, as well as compare it to the old legacy hybrid cab blocks that have been in Helix from the beginning. So without any further ado, let's hop over to HX Edit and get into this thing. All right. So here we are in HX Edit. What I've done is I've set up two paths that are identical except for the cab block. We have the new Pillars drive pedal using the US Princess amp model, the 1x10 Princess cabinet, a compressor, then the new dynamic ambience. Everything is the same, again, except for the bottom row, we're using the legacy hybrid style cab block. I have a volume pedal at the front of each one set opposite. So as I move the volume pedal, I can shift back and forth between path A and path B. Just an easy way to A-B them. So let's listen first to the new cabinet. I have, just for reference, I have the U67 condenser. For this example, since the legacy cab blocks, you can't move the position laterally, I have it sitting right in the center. The distance on both is set at 1.75 inches. The low cut and high cut on both are set. The same at 80 hertz and 8K. Also, since the angle can't be changed in the legacy cab blocks, I've got the basically I don't have it off axis in the new style cab block. So I'm using a Variax neck pickup Strat sound. Let's see what this sounds like. First, again, we're going to do the new cab block first. Okay. Take two. All right, this is the legacy cab block. New cab, legacy cab. So there's an expression that I used to hear a lot when people would try IRs and different things. There was an expression of taking the blanket off the cab, which basically was a way of saying if something sounded a little muffled, if you swapped it out for an IR that had basically a more high end clarity. To my ears, that's kind of what I'm hearing here with the new cab and with the old cab. The old cab seems to have a bit more low end and not as much clarity, in my opinion. So to my ears in this A/B test, as close as a 1-to-1 as you can get, I think the new cabs tend to sound more, have more clarity, a little more high end, depending, again, there's lots of different mic choices and lots of settings. So it's impossible to say, this just is characteristically brighter and, it just, there's too many variables to make a general statement like that. But having said that, here with a 1-to-1, with the settings exactly the same, we can hear a bit more clarity in the new cab block. And, to my ears, it does sound better. Again, new cab, old cab, new cab, old cab. Now, if you are using the legacy cab blocks, certainly there's things that we could do to offset if we're hearing not enough brightness and too much low end. We could always add an EQ block. We could change the EQ on the amplifier. Right now I do have them set identically just to give this the most fair comparison. Let me turn on the overdrive and we'll just do a quick comparison between the two. Again, we'll start with the new cab block. Now the old cab block. New cab. Old cab. So I think it becomes even more apparent with the overdrive on. It just sounds, the old cab sounds a bit muddy versus the new cab. And honestly, I feel like you could probably bring a little more low end back in using either amp EQ or pull the tone back on the drive pedal. Anyway, but still, to me, it sounds, in my opinion, better. I know that's better is a subjective thing, but it sounds just cleaner, less muddy, more definition, as it were. So that was the first thing I wanted to do, is just show an A/B comparison between, as close of a one to one, between the old cab and new cab. Obviously, I could go through lots of different cabs doing this test, different microphones, even on this same cab, just swapping microphones. But I think you get the idea. And of course, you're free to set up patches and A/B this stuff for days and find what you like and don't like. But I just want to do a quick A/B to show that I think there definitely is a sonic difference, between the old and new style cab blocks. With that out of the way, I wanted to talk a bit more about, how the new cab block works. What is, the difference under the hood as best I understand it, and just go through some of the options and how to set it up. Basically, Line 6 referred to the old cab blocks as a hybrid. I don't claim to know technically what that, encompasses, other than to say, it does use, I think, an IR capture and impulse response capture, but there are other things going on which allowed them to do, early reflections and distance, all these other things. Um, my understanding was it's not done in the same way as like with an IR. It's just shot all these. When I say shot, captured all these different angles and distances and mics. And I really don't know exactly how they did the legacy cab blocks. I've never heard any of the Line 6 folks give a really detailed explanation. By comparison, the new cab block works more like a standard IR style of cabinet emulation, which is really kind of what the industry standard, kind of how everyone's been doing it for a long time. Essentially, an impulse response is captured with, a particular microphone in every position, every angle. They're all captured. So, as you make changes, it's basically a different file. So that's one of the reasons this update was so big and took so long to install, because there are, I'm sure, thousands of IR files that go into being able to do this. Um, so it's a more modern way of capturing the speaker sound, the cabinet sound. I think we've heard via AB that again, subjective, but in my opinion, a better sounding way to do it. Um, I have had several people ask me, with existing patches or, commercially available patches, would they automatically update if they have the old cab blocks? Would they automatically switch to the new? And no, I do not believe that would be the case, for a number of reasons. One, um, it would change the sound of the preset. So if you've got a preset that either you've built or you've purchased that's dialed in with that legacy cab, you really wouldn't want it to automatically switch to something else, because you would need to dial that in as well. Also, there are several cabs and microphone models in the legacy section that aren't in the new cab section. So it's just not a one to one. Basically, my thoughts on that would be, if you have a preset that sounded good before the new cabs, it's not going to sound any worse than it did before. So you're not out anything. And if you have a preset you like, you know, drop the new cab block in and see, use your ears and see what you like about it. It does use quite a bit less DSP. So the good thing is, if you put the new style cab block in place of the legacy, it should free up quite a bit of DSP power, so you could actually get more effects blocks and more options and things into your preset if you so desire. So with that out of the way, let's jump in and kind of take a look at this cab block. So the basically the parameters we have the different microphones available. If you're not familiar with different styles of microphones, I suggest just do a Google search on some of the mics, and you should get a pretty good idea um, what different mics, the way, the kind of the way they operate, and what you can kind of expect to get from them. For instance, the 57 dynamic is based on the Shure SM57 dynamic microphone. It has been a go-to microphone for guitar cabinets pretty much forever. What I had originally was the 67 condenser, which is more like a studio condenser microphone. There's a few condensers in here. There's also, well, the 57 is, again, I mentioned the dynamic. So there's several different dynamics. Then there's a handful of ribbon microphones. The 121 is probably the most, most used and, most recognizable of the ribbon microphones. Very, very, very basic explanation. Typically, with the dynamic microphone and the 57, you're going to get a very, very present, very in your face sound. Typically, a lot of high end clarity. You have to watch it; it can get bright. Whereas the ribbon microphone is going to be a more rounded sound, not as much high end. Kind of the same thing with the condenser microphones. Normally, my go-tos are the 57, the 121, and, well, really the 67. And the 47 is a good choice as well. But those kind of cover the general bases for me. So that's the first parameter. You choose your microphone. The position is basically laterally, where, as you change the position, you're moving further away from the center, more to the edge of the cone of the microphone. So when you get all the way out, it says edge, and at some point it says, I thought it said, I thought there was a setting that was like cone edge. Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, there we go. Cap edge. So that's just letting you know you're right at the edge of the cap in the center of the cone there, speaker cone, and then there you're at the edge, and you have everywhere in between. So when you're right in the center, it's going to give you, the most presence and brightness, and as you move away, you'll and it just changes. Let me just play it and let you hear it. So we'll turn the drive off for this example. So I'm going to move it all the way to the edge. If I can get it to respond. There we go. So it's kind of warmer, rounder. Again, trying to find words to describe sounds, but there's kind of halfway. Get it right there at the cap edge area. And then back to center. So the takeaway there is, farther away you don't get as much brightness and direct punch. You get again, a more warmer, rounded sound. So you can use that to kind of dial in, exactly what you're wanting. While we're here, I'm going to pull up the 57 to let you hear. It's quite bright. Moving out to the edge. You lose a lot of that. The distance parameter is next. Go back to the 67. So basically, it's how far away it is from the speaker. Similar thing to the position. The closer it is, the more you're going to get, and the farther away we move, take it all the way out, you're going to get more of a room sound. So again, you can dial that in. I'm still sitting at the center, so I'm getting a lot of the direct speaker sound. If I push it all the way to the edge, you're getting the farthest away in both parameters. Versus. So, it's basically a way of subtly dialing in a general sound. If you want it more high-end clarity, if you want it more rounded, these are the parameters to do that with. The other thing would come down there is the angle. So you can have the mic at a 45-degree angle. Which is basically the mic isn't getting hit straight on with as much pressure. This is very common to use with like the SM57 dynamic mic. Kind of a, let's go to the cap edge, because that's kind of a, there we go. Well, right there on the edge. Try again. Basically, this is a kind of a typical SM57 setup, because it knocks some of the edge off. You're not getting as much. If you feel like you're getting more of a harsh, bright sound, having it at the cap edge at a 45-degree angle kind of gives you a more rounded overall sound. And, we're hearing this on a clean amp. So you're hearing the changes. This particularly works well when you're using like a distorted or higher gain setting, because you can get, if you get too much on the speaker, it can get fizzy if you're not careful. And this is a way of kind of mitigating that. Kind of angling the mic and moving it just off center a little bit can get rid of some of that high end fizz. The rest of the settings, low cut and high cut, are what we're used to with the regular cab blocks, the legacy stuff. These are, I believe, the default settings now on all the legacy stuff. It's a good go-to. 80 hertz, you're cutting off any low end rumble. 8 kilohertz, anything above that is really not a typical standard guitar, something you're going to use on guitar. So yeah, so it's standard stuff. If you've been using Helix or anything, really, you've probably played around with high and low cut. Level control, you can control the output of the actual speaker cabinet. So I'm going to switch over now to a dual cab block, because there is another parameter that, or a couple of parameters, I think, actually, that we can have to play around with. Also, I did not think ahead. I made those mono blocks. I want to make these stereo blocks. Trying to remember what I had. Setting wise, yep, this is definitely, you're getting to see how the sausage is made here. Okay, so now we're going to keep it stereo. So I've got the 110 Princess, and let's do something quite different. Let's do a 4x12. So we're going to have a 4x12. We're going to have a 57, which is kind of what came up. Let's stick with that for now. I am going to apply low cut and high cut. It's roughly the same as I did on the other cabinet. Okay, so one of the things we can do is we can actually pan the cabinets, which is a really cool feature that was not available with the legacy cabs. And to be honest, I was never quite sure how, in the stereo field, those cabs were. I don't know if they were, hard panned or just mixed. I know, with the legacy cab, sometimes I'd have to go in and adjust the level of one cab being louder than the other. And this pan feature is pretty cool, because now you can actually, you can deliberately separate them. So I'm going to pan one right and one left. So basically, you're getting, as it implies, you're getting one cabinet all the way on the left, one on the right. That way, rather than having two cabs and you're essentially combining the frequencies, which can be a very desirable effect, you are splitting them, so you're getting more of the individuality of both of the speaker cabinets. You can also delay if you want to do where one, right now they're basically in sync as far as, the delay and the timing. You can delay one of the cabs to give it kind of add some out of phase. And I haven't played around with this too much, to be honest. Let's put some delay on there and see what it sounds like. Yeah, you can definitely hear, one cabinet, the sound waves arriving before the other, which is kind of a neat effect, actually. So let's see what we're going to crank it way up. Almost like a pseudo doubling effect a little bit. So that's pretty cool. And let's say on the panning, if we want to get some separation, but not complete separation, let's do 40 and 40, give or take. So we get a little bit of blend, a little bit of separation. And then if we go back to center on both of them. So when they're at center, basically it sounds like a cabinet. You're just getting both frequency responses kind of put together. Again, if you pan them, you get the separate. If you're doing a stereo setup, definitely I would say experiment with panning the cabinets, because it's fun. It gives you a different type of tonality, which is pretty cool. Another thing that I like that they did is you can click and drag the microphones. And, rather than just using the sliders, I can actually come up here and click and drag this microphone around. You can see the parameters moving as I do that. So the only thing you have to click on the if you want the angle changed, but otherwise, which is pretty cool. And I like the visual aspect. The sliders are good. It's giving you the numbers, giving you the information, but the visual helps too, I think. Whoops. So let's say we do the SM57 straight on, and then the 67 condenser pushed out. Kind of gives us that best of both worlds, very present with the greenback and a little more room and airiness with the 1x10. Okay, so one thing when you're picking the cabinet, if you click this link button, whenever you select a cabinet, it's going to basically make sure that they're both the same. If I unlink it, um, you know, this is going to stay the same unless I click over here and change it. So here's the reason that's kind of cool. Let's say if I wanted to use this Schematico cabinet and I wanted to emulate double miking, which is definitely a very regular technique. So we've got a condenser mic with some distance on it. Come over here, and basically I'm going to do what I just did in terms of having one dynamic close, one condenser with distance. But instead of doing that with two different cabinets, we have now this being done with the same cabinet. So you're getting two aspects of tone from the same cabinet. Which is pretty cool. And we can come in and we can pan this like we did with the other example. So we'll be hearing them completely discrete on each side. And let's say because the condenser is farther away, let's add some delay to emulate. We're going overboard with 3.9 milliseconds, but kind of emulate that farther away, not hitting at the exact same time sort of thing. So that's fun. It's just fun stuff to play around with. Lots of options with the new cab block. I think Line 6 has done an amazing job. This is something that, from day one of Helix, there was always this ongoing debate of, do you need to, use third-party IR files, or do the stock cabs sound good enough? I always went with the stock cabs. I tried every brand of IRs, and they sounded good, to be honest. My choice really had more to do with I wanted to stay within the Helix ecosystem for ease of use. When you use third-party IRs, you basically drag them into slots, and then whenever you go to your preset, you have to pull up an IR block. You have to choose the right slot. If you happen to move your IRs around, you're gonna have to go back to your presets and fix that. I know there was a thing. It's been corrected now, I believe, but back in the early days when there were firmware updates, I think you had to manually load your IRs back in, and that got to be kind of a headache for folks. To get them, make sure they got them all back in the same order. Now with the backup and restore, that's not really so much of an issue. But that's why I stayed with the stock cabs. It was just easier, and with a little bit of selective, choosing selectively what cabs I liked, what mics I liked, and then with EQ, I could easily get what sounded good to me. So I don't think there was anything wrong with the original hybrid cab blocks. What I think is really great about the new style cabs is it feels very much more plug and play. Again, I had to be a little more strategic with the original cab blocks and what I chose. I found what I liked and kind of just stuck with it. So far with the new cab block, everything I've tried has sounded good. Every mic sounds good. They're different. They don't sound the same, but I haven't pulled up any cabs and put a mic on it and thought, oh, that just to my ear, it just doesn't work. And there were times with the original cab blocks, certain cabs I just didn't like. So I think this is a really massive update and improvement. that's going to result in folks having a much easier time dialing in presets and patches, much quicker way to get really good sounds and add more variety. Because again, in my opinion, it's all subjective, but in my opinion, all the cabs sound really good. So it opens up to where, I'm not personally going in and going, okay, I know these 5 or 6 cabs are my go-tos. I know I like them, so stick with them. This will actually probably get me to the point where, I'll try some cabs that maybe I didn't gravitate towards in the old cab system, because these new IRs and cabinets that they've shot all seem to sound really good. So that's kind of the cab block. I hope this video was helpful. I would recommend taking one of your presets that you like or setting up a brand new preset to experiment with this, because in the end, you need to find what you like. And, it's just a matter of experimenting, pulling up your favorite amp model, running through the cabs, see what sounds good to your ears, and go with that. If you have any questions or anything I missed talking about the new cab block, please feel free to put those in the comments and I'll be happy to go over it and address anything I might have missed. The firmware is now just a few days old. I'm still learning and playing around with this myself. So I'm not claiming to have every parameter mastered, so to speak. So if there's something I didn't cover, let me know. I'll be happy to go back and do that. As always, thanks for watching the videos, checking them out. I enjoy you guys so much and the interaction we have. So thanks for continuing to come back and watch these videos. Hit me up in the comments with anything you would like to see talked about or shown in the future. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And until next time, we'll see you.